Hi, I'm Tim Ritz.
Hi, I'm Dove Hammonds, and today we're going to be presenting on carpal tunnel syndrome. So meet Guillermo DeCraene. He is 50 years old. He is an administrative assistant at Google Incorporated. He has been working there for 10 long years, as well as in his free time, he's an avid gardener. Our patient came into the clinic and was reporting a gradual onset of his symptoms over the last 3 months. He's been reporting pain primarily felt along the distribution of the median nerve. He has a pins and needles, tingling, as well as some numbness, as well as he's told us that he's having pain in flexion and extension. He's reported inflection to be at about a 5 out of 10, and in extension, he's reporting a 6 out of 10. He's also reporting some paresthesia, as well as pain exacerbated with the regular clerical duties of his job. He's typing all day long, sitting in a desk, as well as when he's doing his gardening activities, such as digging or grabbing a shovel. Being able to grip that has become really difficult for him. And he's reported that these symptoms are continually increasing throughout the day.
In the last 2 weeks, Guillermo's symptoms have become increasingly worse. He has nocturnal paresthesia at night, which has finally caused him to come into the clinic because it's unbearable. The anatomy behind the carpal tunnel syndrome. The carpal tunnel has 4 flexor digitorum superficialis, 4 flexor digitorum profundus, 1 flexor pollicis longus, and also the median nerve. The basics behind what happened is there a compression of the flexor retinaculum, which causes swelling, irritation, and any type of pain in that carpal tunnel. Okay, so Guillermo's specific mechanism of injury was carpal tunnel syndrome, which is entrapment of the median nerve. This comes on from occupational duties, and his was a chronic onset, which means it happened slowly over time and continued on. It led him to decreased grip strength, tingling and numbness in his fingers during and after activity. It also can result in sleep disturbances, loss of motor symptoms, and also loss of sensation in any of the fingers.
So for Guillermo, we decided to lay out some of the similarities as well as the differences between choosing operative over non-operative. So some of the main similarities include the modalities that are used, including like ice, ultrasound, manual therapy such as tendon nerve glides, strengthening techniques that would be used throughout the progression of the program. Some of the main differences would be wound care management. If he chose the operative route, there is going to be a solid 1 to 3 week period difference in his recovery because we are assessing that wound. As well as the splinting characteristics are a lot different in operative treatment. He would be in that splint a lot longer than he would non-operatively. Operative, you're also going to be looking at having stronger medications prescribed because you just had a procedure, whereas non-operative, we'd likely just have him on some NSAIDs as well as ibuprofen. Based on the recent onset of Guillermo's condition, as well as the low severity, he's decided to go with non-operative treatment as the best option for him.
Guillermo's goals are going to be by July 30th, 2017, he will demonstrate 1 full day of work pain-free at his work at Google. And then by July 3rd, 2017, he will also have the ability to garden normally with no modification of any tools, pain-free. So for every rehab, you're going to have an inactive phase, active phase, resistive, and then aggressive. So our short-term goals for this phase is that the patient will be pain-free by April 14th at rest. He's also going to be pain-free in 45 degrees of pronation and 15 degrees of flexion by April 14th. How are we going to do that? So the rehab plan is going to be immobilized in a splint. We're going to have the patients in a cast just like this, and they're going to have to be at a 0 degrees of flexion and extension with the fingers AB ducted, and that's for all hours of the day. Guillermo's in phase 2 of his rehab, and this is the active phase. His goals for this part is he's going to be able to have free active range of motion, pain-free active range of motion, up to 60 degrees of wrist flexion and 55 degrees in his extension by April 11th. His rehab plan is going to consist of wrist bends.
The patient is going to actively move into wrist extension as far as she can go, and then actively into flexion as far as they can go. And then whatever degrees that they can't get into, the clinician is going to assist them passively.
It's important to keep in mind that he needs to do radial deviation and ulnar deviation as well.
Radial and ulnar deviation, we've set 3 different boundaries. We have the radial deviation and the ulnar deviation. This is for proprioception, and the patient is going to go back and forth to each one, trying to increase their range of motion.
The next goal that we have set for phase 2 is that by April 24th, 2017, Guillermo will be able to demonstrate that his grip strength can increase from 80 psi to 95 psi as measured by the hand dynamometer. In order to do this, we've decided to implement some exercises in his rehab plan to include a hand squeeze.
To increase grip strength, we're going to have the patient grip a nice soft foam ball and just squeeze as hard as they can.
Putty play to incorporate his hand intrinsics.
We're going to have the patient take some putty into the palm of their hand, and this is going to work on hand intrinsics. So they're going to work on their fingers and just pull that putty all the way up as far as they can and squeeze it into a nice ball.
Isometric fingertip touches.
We're going to have the patient touch all fingertips with their thumb just to understand the motion individually through each finger, and once they touch, they're going to isometrically push against each other as far as they can and hold that contraction for 3 to 5 seconds each finger.
For the next goal that we're going to have in this active phase, phase 2, we want by April 24th, 2017, Guillermo will be pain-free in every range of motion that he can possibly have for the wrist. So that's going to be 90 degrees of wrist flexion, 85 degrees of wrist extension, 20 degrees of radial deviation, and 45 degrees of ulnar deviation. In order to implement these range of motion activities, we're going to implement some joint moves.
We're going to be doing grade 3, so we'll start with the quick oscillations in grade 1, move into larger oscillations for grade 2, then moving into that mid to end range of motion, also doing the large oscillations for grade 3.
For at home, we're going to have wrist lifts as well as some shakeouts.
And now we're on to phase 3, which is the resistive phase for Guillermo. Now one of his goals in phase 3 is going to be that he'll be able to type the first page of his rehab notes in 7 minutes. We're going to have him do finger taps, finger extension swings.
He's just going to start with a fist, lift one finger, and then add one finger every time.
And spider stretches in the mirror.
They're just going to look into a mirror, and they're going to take their fingers and then bring them as close as they can to each other, and then back out.
Now we're progressing in the resistive phase of Guillermo's rehab. So one of the goals that we want is we're going to have the patient increase his grip strength, and we want that to be at 107 psi using the hand dynamometer. The rehab plan for this part of the rehab phase is we want to do rubber ball squeezes, isometric hand dynamometer exercises, wall push-ups.
The patient is going to put their arm parallel to the floor and their hand on the wall and just push off. And it's very easy to move into plyometrics with this by just exploding off the wall.
And the hand clasp squeeze.
For hand clasp, the patient is going to grab the hand like this, squeeze, interlock the fingers and squeeze, and then go the opposite direction and squeeze.
Now we're in phase 4, the aggressive phase of the rehab. We want to start moving into some more activity-specific things, so our goals are going to be those long-term goals that we set. So the first goal that we have for Guillermo is by May 12th, 2017, we want him to be able to demonstrate a full day of work activities without any assistive devices, completely pain-free. Some exercises that we've chosen to go with are typing exercises on the computer. And lastly, phone pickups.
For phone pickups, we are going to add a resistance to the edge of a phone and have the patient move from pronation into supination, and he's also going to end up radially deviating as well as flexing his elbow to bring that phone up, and repeat the motion.
For our next goal within phase 4, we want by July 3rd, 2017, Guillermo to be able to garden normally, pain-free, without any modifications. Part of this rehab plan, we're going to implement medicine ball tosses.
And it's meant to simulate tossing rocks and moving heavy objects of varying weights within the garden. So he'll just pick up an object and toss it, different sizes and grips, and toss.
As well as hoe pulls, and we will progress him from the sand pit to the dirt. Alright, so now we're at the end of Guillermo's rehab plan. At this point, we're really just focused on maintenance. And so our goal from here is that by July 8th, 2017, Mr. DeCraene will be able to continue work as normal without any limitations and be pain-free.
We also have to remember that as therapists, we have to give him proper education. That includes his desk, his daily living, any activities out in the yard. He's got to get proper rest, he's got to have a good diet, and he's got to use his brace as needed. He can continue icing as needed, and he needs to maintain his home program that we're going to give him. And this includes flexibility and strength protocols.
What do you mean?
We don't know what we're doing, so be nice.
When you nod your head yes, but you wanna say no. What do